introduce yourself?
Yes, that sounds perfect. So
I'm sorry,
happily,
Stacy. Sorry, Michael. Could we call the meeting to order officially? Now,
right, I will just take the minutes for this meeting, Jen, because that'll just, and Stacy.
Thank you,
awesome.
Michael.
I hadn't pressed the record button, which is my fatal flaw, I think.
Okay. All right, so I will officially call the meeting to order at 7:04 p.m. And before we go any further, why don't we start with having Michael introduce himself?
Good evening, everybody. So it's a pleasure to meet you all. My name is Michael, Michael Stankoff. I am the new environmental planner for Mansfield. I'm stepping into Jen's old position that she had before she was elevated to be the director of the department. So I'm going to be taking over as staff for Agriculture Commission, as well as parks, wetlands, and conservation going forward. Really excited to be here and work with you all. Some background on me, I was a UConn student. I went to UConn for a degree in ecology and then did a master's in conservation. After that, I was a adjunct professor around the state for a couple of years, taught biology. And then I got into land use. I come from Winchester, was my assignment before I was here. I was their zoning officer and wetlands officer for 2 years. I'm really excited to be able to come more into environmental science and the environmental stuff that Mansfield is involved in. It is a wonderful community with a lot of fantastic engagement with agriculture and conservation. So it's really exciting to be able to be here, work with you, get some of these projects supported and off the ground. I want to be here as staff support for you. My inbox is open for emails any time of day. So I'm very, very excited to work with you and happy to answer any questions or be of assistance in any way going forward.
Thank you. And thank you for
I want to say that this is Michael's, I think it's day 10 for
This is
Michael.
day 10.
Day 10. And so he's been a great addition to our department, and he's kind of jumped in with both feet, and there's lots of stuff, as you all know, going on. And so I'm sure Michael will be a great asset to the committee.
Thank you, Jen.
All right, and Michael, thank you for volunteering to take notes for this meeting. I've not heard from a couple of our committee members, but we've got most of them here today.
I don't have Emma Heiser.
Joe Emenheiser and Melanie Desch, and I haven't heard from Melanie all day, and I sent her like 15 emails at work, so she may have other things going on. And I don't know about Emenheiser, and I think that's it for our committee. And then, Mr. Fricano, do you want to introduce yourself? Technically, it's called to order and roll call, so there's an opportunity for public comment later in the agenda, but if you want to introduce yourself now, or we could do that in the public comment section, it's up to you.
I'll do it now, so there's no suspense later on. My name's Ray Fricano. I'm been in town for 42 years. Along with Chris, I took the Town Government Academy this year, and we were invited at the end of that class to consider to be joining in a committee, and Agriculture Committee is one of the ones that resonates with my life. From high school, I was a VOAG student, FFA president, state officer. I went to URI, was one of those failed pre-vet students who didn't make it to vet school. Ended up working for the USDA for 38 years. I was a meat inspector. I was an agriculture management specialist. For the bulk of my time, I was an adjudicative officer, administrative officer, administrative judge, actually, where I adjudicated cases for the Secretary of Agriculture in every field that agriculture is involved in. NRCS, FSA, rural development, rural business and cooperative service. I mean, anything that USDA was involved in, I was participating in all over the country. So I've been immersed for 38 years in agriculture, agribusiness, rural life, and retired in 2015. I've done a few jobs since that time, just social services kind of thing. And my present job right now is I am a special education paraeducator at the middle school. That's me.
Excellent, thank you. So we'll move on to approval of minutes. They are linked in the packet. If you haven't had a chance to review them, you can do that now, and then whenever anyone's ready, I will entertain a motion to accept them.
I just have a question. Melanie Dash was at the last meeting. Was she there for anything in particular? I know her through the community table program for Grow Wyndham. And I was just wondering if,
So Melanie was also interested in joining our committee, and after attending our last meeting, she submitted her formal application to the town processes, because I'm gonna get it wrong, and it went through the Committee on Committees, and she's been appointed. I saw that email, didn't I, Jennifer, that she was she was officially appointed to join our committee. Sorry, there was a lot of committee membership emails in the last few weeks. So Melanie will be our alternate member for the next 2 years until she wants to cycle off the committee.
great.
Any other questions on the minutes? Is there a motion to accept them? I gotta bring the Jeopardy music because you guys are killing me. Chris, come on, help me out. You're muted, Chris. You really don't want me to sing the Jeopardy music.
Tough crowd.
Anyone want to make a motion to accept them?
You can make the motion yourself, Madam Chair.
No, I was in Parley Pro when I was an FFA member. I cannot make that motion.
We don't adhere to Robert's Rules of Order in strict nature, so you can bring the motion to the floor yourself. You don't have to.
All right, nobody tell my FFA advisor. I move we approve the secretaries or the committee minutes from the January meeting. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you, Chris. All right, I can only do one because that would be totally against. my will.
So
Is
if
there-
I'm not, if I wasn't there, I can't approve them, right? Oh,
You're
you're
muted, Jen.
muted, Jen.
It's a technicality when we only have 6 members. It's kind of you can review them. I mean, if we
Just
were,
abstain.
yeah,
No, I'm just saying, future, when we run into this in the future.
Right.
we are a low-key committee, so I would allow you to. I mean, hey, I just made the motion, Diane. So and
Right, all right.
It's not high stakes to move to accept the minutes.
we're not deciding any town anything, but they will get posted. All right. Any other discussion? It was a good question, Diane. All those in favor signify by saying aye or raising your hand. Any opposed, nay, but everyone was, so that was unanimous, so motion passes. All right. Opportunity for public comment. So Ray, you are also interested in joining our committee. Did you want to comment in this section as well? Or also members are allowed to have public comment in this section too, if any of you want to.
Well, I think I've said enough about myself. I mean, I'm definitely interested in the committee. You know, I haven't been active in the past, primarily because I was active elsewhere nationally. So, I don't know what else to say.
That's perfect. Thank you.
And I will say, Ray, if you did the local government academy, you know more about our town now than many of us. So I think Ray would be a great asset.
Yes, I completely agree. And I would also agree that I'm sure he knows much more about the town than I do. Old business, we have the Farmers Forum. Alex, you want to kick that off?
Thank you. So, yeah, just real quick. There's a bit of a back and forth on trying to get the library situated. That's since been moved to MCC. Thank you very much to Kylie. She's not here, but she championed that way more than I thought she would have to. So appreciate her very much for that. Beyond that, as far as the invitation, it's essentially a replication of last year's, and I think that's fine. I didn't feel necessarily qualified to comment on whether or not that worked for the town. So any comment on that would be great. But you know, don't fix what's not broken, in my opinion. I think it worked out just fine. Beyond that, me and Stacy discussed kind of the schedule of how this should play out. We both kind of like the fact that last year we provided the opportunity for just kind of open discussion, introductions, and so on. But the concept as it sits right now is to make space for Taste of Mansfield, same as last time. Additionally, beyond that, I do have some restaurants that I work with that I'm trying to get out. I just haven't gotten a hard commitment, so I'm not necessarily allotting space for them at this time. And then beyond that, I'm spacing. The farmers market, just sharing information, anything pertaining to that, how to be involved, sign up for that for any new faces that may arrive. And then additionally, for us kind of as the ag committee to share any changes to ordinances, policies within the town that may be pertinent to them. I'm on the fence with that. I always kind of, I guess, have a phobia of generating a situation where they condemn some of the decisions made by the town. But I think we can kind of, you know, address that. And I mean, it was very cordial last time, so I don't have a lot of fears, but I just kind of want to open that up for maybe someone else's thoughts on that. And anything else that we should kind of make space for. Oh, and sorry, jumping around. The other thing was to any other upcoming events, because we have the beekeepers event coming up as well. So just to mention those and hopefully get higher enrollment with that as well, if we can. You know, I don't know when the RSVP closes for that one, but you know, just to keep it out there.
I have a question regarding invitation. So the invitation looks great, and thank you very much, Melissa, for doing that. You always do a beautiful job, and I also like the bee event one as well. But have we started sending out the invitations yet? Because right now we're at March 14th, and so we've got basically 16 days, and we do like to confirm that you know, our town council can be there and planning and zoning. And I just worry that maybe we might have to push this off. I hate to do that, but if Leonard Hall is available maybe 2 weeks out, and that way we can confirm and get some of our politicians and make sure that we get the farmers there, because it does. So I don't know what's been done, because I did have to take a step back from this, unfortunately, but now we're with Michael here. We're kind of we're back on track. So I don't know, you know, where we are with how many people we are going to attend, because I'd hate to have us do all this work and then not have the right people show up. It's really nice to get a critical mass, and it's also really nice to have the mayor, the town manager, and someone from planning and zoning, and even like Greg Haddad or May Flexer and our new representative who I need to Google because I cannot remember.
Pat Boyd.
Pat Boyd, right. I met him. He's very nice. Yes.
Yeah.
So,
And
Um,
oh, go ahead.
No, please.
Just another person from town to invite might be Mariah Popoleski,
yes.
the new food service director for Mansfield Public Schools and EO. Because there's a lot happening with farm to school stuff right now at the state level.
Is there a way for, I mean, I know at UConn, we can check the higher ups calendars fairly easily, or ask someone to, not all of us can, but, we know who to talk to. Is there a way that we could figure out, because I think we were waiting to have the invite, well, we were waiting to get a location confirmed and then have an invite. So we have not done a lot of invitations, but if staff could check and see if everyone's available and we could move on it later this week. If they were, I mean, we could probably send out the invitation tomorrow or the next day, and we could start checking with some of the farmers. It would just, there was a lot of back and forth,
I know.
get the current date and location. It'd be nice if we didn't have to try again.
So I think Michael and I can kind of check in on who are the folks that we definitely want to have there. I mean, obviously we want to have a critical mass of farmers, but we also want to make sure we have someone from the council, someone from PZC. It would be great to have a representative, one of our legislators there. Mariah would be fantastic. Aaron, what's Aaron's last name from the farmers market?
Oh, Richter.
Richter, right. Her email is Erin Broccoli, so I always want to call her Erin Broccoli.
Right.
She would be
We
great.
should invite Jiff too.
Jiff, absolutely. The whole Taste of Mansfield leadership team. So, so if we can pull that off tomorrow, let's see, tomorrow's Wednesday. We would have until Thursday to kind of figure that out. Then do you want to still shoot for the 30th? It's actually at Lennard Hall, which is not the community center, just so folks know, but we'll make that clear on the.
And they have the same MCC in their name too. It's really kind of confusing.
Yeah, we'll kind of make that distinction. We'll have to make sure that folks don't.
You station somebody at the community center to turn them around and send them down the street.
Yeah, right. Just looking at that invitation.
As far as the invitations go, I need somebody to confirm that like that registration link is still current for this year, and like nobody's really responded to me. So, I don't know if the information's right.
Right.
Yeah, the registration link, I do not know. I mean, the rest of it, design wise and information wise, I believe was updated to Michael's information as well. So that should all be okay. As far as that link and where that routes to, I'm not entirely sure. Would that be to Kylie directly, or is that some resource via the town? Or what is
That probably needs to be updated. Michael, that is something we can also put on the list. But we're gonna do, last year we did like a it was like one of our forms. I think we used Jot form. It's just easier for them to kind of,
Gotcha.
rather than going back and forth with emails all the time. So so I think, so we've got to check some schedules, review the invite, create a Jot form for registration, and get Melissa the link. What else do we have to do?
I mean, I think,
Yeah. We have to
Sorry, go ahead.
develop a list of farmers to because normally with like 30 days out, we send a mailing, then we do an email. There's a bunch of follow-ups, and then we have committee members call folks because it takes a lot to get people, to attend.
right. So as far as today, what we can do is I can break up the list and maybe go with Stacy and whomever else wants to kind of contribute to that, to making the phone calls. I
Okay.
do agree it's kind of tight because securing the place turned into a bit of a bigger task than I think we had intended, but I agree with Stacy also. I don't necessarily want to push it. So, but I think the phone call list can definitely be managed. If the invitation components are intact, I mean, would we still want to do the mailer? Just in
I think we
terms of-
should. I think we do the mailer even if it is late in the process. I think we
Okay.
still send it by mail. Just because that means that even if people don't get it till 10 days out, they have something in hand that they can hang on their fridge and they can pass it, and it's a reminder. So I think that in of itself is good. Thinking about the list of all farms and agricultural activities, do we have that list separate from the Mansfield Grown pamphlet, Jen?
So there's been a list that's been going out when Kylie's, because Kylie told me that you had that list, but I like I said, I had to kind of
Mhm.
be one step away from all of this with all the other stuff going on in my
No,
office.
100%. So we actually just ran it on a Google Sheet. It was the easiest way to kind of do a live update
Yep.
and share access. So that's what we're just using right now, and I can share that with you as well, Michael. Just so you have that access. And you had mentioned a few names, and unfortunately, I was telling Stacy I'm kind of new to the town, so I don't know who I don't know.
Yep.
So if there's any names you want to include, by all means, just feel free to add them on there, and we'll make sure that we take a look at them as well.
Okay,
I just have a couple of suggestions on the invitation that you're concerned about where it is. I think if you put something like across from the Eagleville Firehouse, that might get some people clearer, give them a clear idea where it is. And the second thing is, Alex, which is really the first, you were concerned about people talking about whatever zoning regulations or decisions being made. But I think the other meetings I've been to of this, I went to one in Tolland, I went to one in Stafford. That's a really important part of it, partly for bonding, frankly, but really it's also for watch out, because the lay people, or whatever you want to think of it as, are thinking of doing this. And you won't believe it, but such and such is the latest idea in how we should do this and that. And conversely, you also get to hear of really good ideas that are happening in different towns. And those are the things we want to share, or just, whatever's appropriate. So I wouldn't shy away from that at all. Yes, you'd want to temper it while you're there, but don't, I would try not to restrict it.
No, and that's fair. And then also just real quick, Chris, thanks for that. But also to loop back is that it's now being held at MCC, a hall there, because we couldn't secure the library's space.
Yeah, that's the one across from Eagleville. It's like the Mansfield Community
Right.
Arts.
It's
or-
the Community Center for the Arts.
that-
Yeah,
yes,
so
there it is.
Alex, if you say MCC, everyone thinks that
Yeah.
means the community center by town
Alright.
hall.
Gotcha.
And the other one is Leonard Hall. I think that,
I see.
right, like if we say Leonard Hall, we know what we're talking about.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I had to
And
agree.
that's what's on the invitation now.
Yeah.
The
Stacy
old
corrected that.
Eagleville Schoolhouse, Leonard Hall.
Right.
Yeah, but don't mention MCC at all.
Fair.
and just as an FYI, because this sort of we're hoping staff can be there. I am going to be out of town that day, so I'll have to work with Michael just to make, all this kind of happened when he wasn't employed by the town. So we'll work together to make sure that he can be there. Otherwise, I'm just wondering if, at this point, securing the location, I think Kylie, for some reason, didn't ask me. I could have just made the call. We could have done that in about 1 minute, but we can, I think we should maybe pencil in a second date that would work for the committee, just in case we can't pull this off in 2 weeks. And given that I'm not going to be able to be there, and I haven't had a chance to touch base with Michael regarding his schedule. So is there another time that we could just pencil in, just in case we can't make this work?
Yeah. I wouldn't be able to be, I'm tiny part, but I wouldn't be able to be there either, because there's an open house at E.O. Smith for incoming freshmen. And that's already rescheduled. So
Yeah.
If we trying to leave at least a 2-week buffer between this event and the beekeeping event so as to not have too many things back to back. We would land on the 13th of April, which is still 2 weeks out from beekeeping, gives us almost 1 full month in order to contact everybody. Is on a Thursday, could aim for the same time if that recurring point works for everyone. It's not quite a month out to send mailers, but if we can't get a good list of respondents over the next couple of days and it doesn't look like we're gonna have the crowd, would that work? Or do we want to push further? Do we just want to do 1 week? If the time works for people in general on the commission, then keeping the same time might be a good plan. We don't want to go into May, I don't think, too far, and then farmers start getting busy.
Michael, can you say that date again?
April 13th, Thursday.
That's fine with me.
I'm flexible. I have no preferences on timing. I know there's our people with a little bit more complicated schedules, but I'm completely negotiable on when it is.
And I am as well.
I can be there for the 13th too.
I'm looking at the council's, the council's budget calendar. And that's good. They don't have anything on the 13th, so they might be able to be there. And I know the Planning and Zoning Commission does not have anything on the 13th. So I think I would
Let's do
feel,
it. Let's change it and do it. It's obviously making you anxious, Jennifer, and so.
well, it's not
Yeah,
making me anxious because I might not even be there, but I
Well,
just
you
don't
look
want
very
to have,
anxious.
well, I just want to make sure folks are able to attend.
Stacy, how is your schedule for the 13th?
I can do the 13th. Are you okay with moving it?
I mean, I feel somewhat defeated, which is unfortunate, but no, I mean, I think in the name of turnout though, that's only, Michael makes a very good point, is that giving the time just ensures that it's successful, and you get the highest volume of turnout and provide people just that access to time to schedule and plan and be convenient for them. So I'm okay with that if everyone else is, and gives the time to make the phone calls, get the mailers out, and just kind of do the follow-ups and not be bombarding people either is kind of my thought, because that'd be a lot of contact in the space of 2 weeks. So
They could block us, but yeah.
yeah.
All right, so I believe we voted on this the last time. Is there a motion to move the Farmer Forum to the 13th then, at whichever location is available, I would say at this point, and let's get that.
I move we move it to the 13th of April.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I can second it.
Thank you. Can we get Melissa maybe tomorrow or Thursday at the latest, updated location and link for the registration so we can start sending them out?
Yeah, I'll text Kylie right now just to put out the fears for the venue. Or
No, let's not get Kylie involved with this. I think we should probably just bring it into town staff just because it's too many, too many cooks. And so
Heather's also on spring break this week, so she's out for the next week. So if we just handle it in-house for the next couple days, we can bring her back in when she's back.
Yeah, so Jen, if I can just lean on you as far as securing the space, because I just don't know who to contact
yeah,
necessarily.
Michael and I will do that. Yeah, that's.
You guys,
Yeah.
who's Kylie?
Sorry, Kylie is a MPA intern and she's been sort of doing a few little things here and there for a bunch of different departments.
Oh, other people to invite would be maybe Dorothy Del Valle, because she's doing the Farms to Families program. And then also Chelsea Cherrier through Click.
Yeah.
Because do you know that all that stuff?
I know that like they're coordinating and Click would be a great asset to have there regardless of.
Right. It might be nice for someone to explain that bigger picture of what's happening in Mansfield and Wyndham.
Yes,
A lot of
absolutely.
nice collaboration. Yeah.
And I'd like it would be great, Diane, maybe under member updates, you could share with the committee what's going on with your farm, but I mean, you've got a pretty cool story to tell, so it'd be nice to.
Okay.
All right, so we have a motion and a second to move the Farmer Forum to April 13th. Is there any further discussion, comments, questions? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye or raise a hand. Any opposed, nay? Motion passes. All right. Next item is membership. So we still have, I believe, 2 alternate spaces, if I'm correct, Jennifer?
Believe so, yes. So we still, so folks know of members, they're still.
Hopefully by the time we finish tonight, we'll be down to 1. And Ray will be interested in joining our committee, but there is still room. And then as far as membership goes too, people can attend our meetings if you're talking to other people. Our meetings are always open. I mean, obviously they're recorded. I'm not sure how many people watch the recording. I hope not that many, but they are welcome to. I hate being on tape. So, but if you talk to somebody and they're interested in what we're up to, you can always tell them they don't need to join. They can just come to a meeting anytime. That's why we always have that standing item of public comment on the agenda too. Anybody else have anything on membership? All right, so now we'll move on to communication initiative. And this is where I'm tucking in the beekeeping event because it seemed like a natural fit for it. But we did talk to DJ Shooks. Thank you to Melissa for connecting us. And he was at the Farmer Forum last year. He's got Shooks apiaries here in town, and Melissa is working on a second flyer, and that we're planning on Friday, April 28th at 6:30 because Kylie gave us a bunch of days that she gave us 3 days, and I gave them to DJ and I said, what works for you? And he chose that one just because kids' families work. So we're going to have that one at Buchanan Center at the Mansfield Library. I don't know quite what DJ has planned, but I'm sure it will be great. He's a E.O. Smith FFA alumni too. He was in my sister's class. So we did want to open that one up to the other towns. So I was going to share, I mean, anybody, regular Mansfield residents, not in agriculture, anybody interested in beekeeping. So once, Melissa, I guess that one, once we have a registration link for that too, we can just send that out unless anyone had edits for that flyer, and we can share the flyer with the rest of, or both flyers with the rest of the group too. It's just been on the core group of, well, I just kept adding people in because it's like, okay, one email, everybody talk about them and we'll be done. So there's a couple of us that have those. Anybody have questions on that one? It should be fun. Just another very informal, no ag committee. I mean, other than hosted by ag committee, but we don't have any function other than hosting it and maybe helping set up chairs or things for DJ. Carrying out the beehives at the end of the night. I don't, you know, what, that kind of stuff. And then other communication initiatives. We're still, anybody interested in writing for Mansfield Connections? Articles are due the 25th of every month. Corey really appreciates, Corey Toomey, the editor, that we are sending things on behalf of the Agriculture Committee. We also have the town newsletter and the neighbors paper. So if you have ideas for any articles, feel free to send them in directly to them. It'd be good if the rest of the committee knew, and we could do a rotation that way. And anybody have any questions, comments on this? All right.
Stacey, actually, I'm not super familiar with that journal, the newsletter you'd mentioned, and Jennifer and I haven't had a chance to talk about it. Can you tell me a little bit about it?
Sure. So Mansfield Connections is something, a company called Best Version Media does it, and they do them for a lot of different towns. And so we get residents get it once a month, right around the 1st of the month in their mailbox. And there's always some family or person from Mansfield on the cover, except for the one month where it was Joshua's Trust as like just the land organization. They've got a kids corner, the library does updates, and Carol Manning, who's a long-term town resident, maybe lifelong, does a recipe each month. And so it's just got, like some little classifieds. And we started submitting articles about agriculture. So the one that was in this last month actually was because when we did our farm visits a couple of years ago, Mr. Varga had talked about the hay fields and people going through the hay fields on town-owned land, but he has the lease on it. So did one about what's really going on in the hay field. And I'm not sure that it will do him much good, but we are trying. And then the neighbors paper, I believe the publisher of that, Tom King, is in Ashford. It's supposed to serve northeastern Connecticut. That's a paper one, and it gets left at a lot of businesses in this town. I know like it's at Terry's Transmissions, a lot in the Ashford, Willington, a lot of the small businesses in those areas. It's like a paper newspaper copy. Dennis Pierce does farm visit / recipe every issue of that one. We've sent a couple things to that one over the years. Dennis has agriculture pretty well covered in that one. He does the local farms and stuff. He was the director of dining services at UConn for many years, and a town resident, and he volunteers at the library, and he's a wonderful writer. So there's always ag stuff in there, thanks to Dennis. And then the town e-newsletter is one that Margaret Chady does. And Lori Travato, who had been on our committee, she just rotated off just because she's got a lot going on. She's a high school agri-science teacher, and she was having her students write little articles for that as part of their SAEs, their supervised agriculture experience programs. So that's sort of where we're at with all those.
Okay, thank you. That's giving
We'll
me
get you copies of all of them, and then it'll make a whole lot more sense.
some light reading. So that'll work. Thank you.
Anything else on communication initiatives? All right, we'll move on to new business. The first is the Connecticut Countryside Four-Town Regional Committee. And I think everybody's familiar with or went to the planning meeting for Connecticut Countryside years ago, or did one of the focus group interviews. But basically Mansfield, Ashford, Bolton, and Coventry are working together, and the firm they hired came up with this Connecticut Countryside slogan. There was a meeting, oh gosh, Diane, help me out. Jennifer was there too, January?
Month or more ago, yeah.
Yeah, Chris, you were there too.
Yeah.
And there was breakout tables by group. Diane, do you want to talk about the ag table a little bit? Because you were sitting right next to me the whole time.
Yeah, it feels like a really long time ago. I think the core of what they were hoping to accomplish was having a regional ag committee. They're fairly disparate interests and goals. It felt like some people were a lot more aware of what was happening agriculturally than others, so it was a little tricky to understand how to move forward with that, I suppose. And even to me, it's not even super clear what is really the goal of having a regional ag committee, other than it's better than having no ag committee, which is what some towns might have. I don't know, Stacey, what do you think? I feel like I'm not giving like a very rosy overview, but it was kind of like,
So
Yeah.
Diane and I had a different viewpoint than many of the other members sitting at our round table. But you all know Diane and I well enough to know that we got our opinions across as well.
the bottom line is you guys have been around for a long time. You're one of the really the first agriculture committees, frankly, in the state. You've been just doing a lot of really good things. And so when it comes to, I'm sure Bolton doesn't have an agriculture committee. Coventry has one that sort of comes and goes, and Tollins is pretty new. So so I think they just have a lot to learn from you all. But
Yeah, you can be the regional leaders for agriculture committees, a statewide model for civilian participation in agriculture. Are we selling it yet? Are we excited?
So Josh Hall is the, yes, we're very excited, Michael. Thank you. Josh Hall is the MPA student, Masters of Public Administration student from UConn that is on the committee, on the steering committee. I did meet with Cynthia Van Zelm and Kara Workman, and we bounced a couple ideas. I mean, we were talking about some other stuff too, but bounced a couple ideas off about the regional ag committee. So I think pros and cons wise, Diane kind of gave us some of the disadvantages. The other one that the one that really I want to be cognizant of and make sure that we address is that when we've gotten regional ag committees together in the past, we've always played with Willington and Wyndham as well. And I don't want to lose those connections with them, because those are important partnerships for us. So yes, we want to do the regional ag committee because it's probably going to be 4 times a year. And I think if we get a couple volunteers, because I know my schedule is strange. So like if there's a couple of us, there can be somebody representing our committee at all times, but it's not the same, it's not going to be a huge lift for anyone. And then Chris, you mentioned Stafford too, and Kim Milikowski. Yeah, I do not want to lose that connection with the Stafford Ag Commission just because they're big and active as well. So I think there's some pluses for us. One of the big things that came up at the roundtables that night in January or whenever we were sitting there was ag tourism. And so Coventry's big into the ag tourism idea because of the farmers market and everything. And it makes sense. They've got some farms on 44, the greenhouse type farms that want that. Diane and I were, okay, so that was me, not Diane. I won't throw her under the bus, but a little more reluctant on the ag tourism, not necessarily for all farms. So
yeah, I think it was important to make it clear that maybe Stacy, we were the only 2 people sitting at that table who had direct connections to farms, and the other people were more in the advocacy role, which was great. But I think they had the general idea that farms want people on their farms. And we were like, no, not necessarily. Like, it's complicated to have visitors on working farms when you're not set up for that. And that's not one of your business goals. And so, yeah.
So we have a role to play as, yeah. And for some farms, we really want to put, I mean, I spoke at the International Agritourism Conference last year. Like, it's really good. And if that's what a farm really wants to do, absolutely.
Yeah.
I love attending agritourism things, but it's got to be up to the farm. And so that was one thing that Diane and I communicated to the rest of our table. So all of these wonderful selling points, they're not going to let us go again, Diane, later. Is anyone interested in serving on the Regional Ag Commission with not Ashford, Bolton, Coventry, and Tolland? I told Josh I would go, so
Yeah.
When are the meetings? Did they figure that out?
well, Josh sent emails around and he's like, well, when are you free?
No.
And I said,
I hate those.
So I was honest with him because he's a UConn student, and I haven't heard back when I sent him my schedule. So, But
Yeah,
he's also on
the
spring break.
original emails where he reached out to us, he did not give us any sort of a follow-up on when that is. It seems like they're trying to arrange around people's schedules as opposed to the other way around, which can be harder.
Yeah,
So,
I also asked him if he was looking for daytime meetings or evening meetings, which I think it's gonna need to be an evening based on who was at the table that night and what we've done with the other ag committees in the past, so. I think they've got a
Yeah.
little bit more to look
I
into.
do feel like it would be, I can't commit to anything like going forward because, you know, you might not see me again until next fall. But I do think it's really important to include Wyndham as best we can, because really agriculturally, that's where collaboration is happening right now. And you know, they're talking, so I understand that this Connecticut countryside, the core idea of it is promoting tourism, but it could be also promoting community connections, right? And I mean, for some of us, that's more valuable than promoting tourism. And if what's happening in between Mansfield and Wyndham could branch out and include these other 3 towns, that's a pretty great opportunity. And all of these towns already have public school systems with food service directors. The State Department of Education has this program. They have, my dog is starving to death over here. They have money through USDA to incentivize local procurement for the coming year. And so all public schools will have access to this money so that you can get more locally grown food. And then Click is working, like they have this huge grant to do food processing, like light processing of like, you know, like peeled and cubed butternut, whatever, so that it could go to public schools. They have CREC as their like committed partner, and not CREC, EastCon. EastCon is their committed partner for buying like whatever they figure out. But so there's all these pieces right now. And to bring in these other 3 towns in this collaboration that already exists could be pretty great and could be a goal of this regional ag committee, because it does benefit all of our local farms. So that's a thought. You're
When
muted.
we were doing, I'm going to channel my advocate hat that I wore
Right.
a while back. And we always talked about, if in order to like have farmland and enjoy the farmland view, you have to have farming. And
Right.
it sounded like that was a little bit of the disconnect. That, yeah. So I think this folks from Mansfield could kind of help make that connection. And I think that initiative would be, that's an appropriate place to advocate for that. So
Yeah, right. And it, I mean, it also helps build, I don't know, when I think about kids having access to local food, it helps build a sense of place for these kids. And I think that's kind of one of the goals of this collaboration also, is like kind of identity with where you are. So many possibilities.
Thank you, Diane. So we will send you more information on Connecticut's countryside, and spin positives a little heavier. And then if someone else is interested, we'll let the whole committee know. And I think that could be an open door policy. It seemed like the roundtable discussion we went to in January was pretty open. I did, one of the people that was also at our table from Bolton, Rosemary Hathaway, she has a Christmas tree farm, she and her husband Milton in Bolton, and she's also president of Talon County Farm Bureau. And so the other thing that Rosemary was saying, because I'm on the Talon County Farm Bureau Board of Directors too, was that this regional ag committee, we might want to look at connecting with Farm Bureau. All of these towns are Talon County, yes. So even if it was like something of Talon, Windham County, but that we could leverage Farm Bureau in this as well, because there's a lot of overlap between the two organizations, or at least there was for Rosemary and I. So it's something to look into that way too, and how we can all work together. The ag committees and commissions, Farm Bureau, all of these different groups that have similar goals. So we will keep you all posted. We would like at least one more volunteer to join the Regional Ag Committee. We're looking at 4 meetings a year, and probably some side committee work too. And we could take turns and not have to be at all 4 meetings if that works better for people too. Any questions on that one?
That sounds good, Stacy. I feel it'll, I mean, it's just so your background and knowledge and so forth, and just to hear what Diane was saying, I feel really unprepared, although I'm interested in making it happen. I just don't feel like I've got the right perspectives on as issues arise. So what I'd like to do is go with you if you're going to attend one of these things.
Chris, but you were at the Stafford one and the Talland one, and I heard from
I know, and I enjoy those, but now we're talking about, I enjoy those.
You had good perspectives to
but
share
this
those.
thing,
What other towns
what
said.
what I thought I understood to be happening with these things is this is going to be more of a planning, a regional planning kind of activities, and knowing the issues again as intimately as you and Diane do, and probably increasingly Alex does. I just feel like I would ill serve the group. Maybe Ray would be the guy for it.
But also, it's better to have someone there.
Well, exactly, yeah.
Chris.
But that's
You're better
also
than
why
nothing.
I like the idea of a couple people going, at least when they can.
Yeah.
I think I'm kind of a similar boat too. Like, my background is horses. It's not really like relevant to that at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat too. To be honest, it's like I'm figuring out as I go. So I mean, I have thoughts on the matter, but not enough validity yet, I think. So
Yeah, so anyway, I would be happy to go. I would really like to go with you, Stacy. Like you said, you're planning on going this first one. If you can make it happen, I'll go if I can. But my preference would be to go with you so that you can kind of fill me in. Maybe we carpool over or something.
I think it would be valuable. I think Coventry would appreciate having you there, because one of the things they did talk about at our table was that all agricultural development in Coventry should be along the Route 44 corridor and doing the planning and zoning that way. And I was thinking of you and trying to figure out what table you were at when they were talking about that, because I'm like, oh, Chris will have ideas for them on planning and zoning. And then I was just thinking about Greg Paracchio trying to get out of his driveway too with trucks on 44 already. Like, I don't think the farmers are going to support that one, but well, that's not my town, so.
Yeah. Oh boy.
It'll be good conversations. So let us know if you're interested. We'll get everyone more information, right? We would love to have you go too if you are interested in going to those meetings.
Sure.
All right, awesome. Sustainable CT. I have not thought about this much since the last meeting. Jennifer, do you have anything you want to share on that, or?
So I'm not sure. I think, did someone ask to have that on the agenda? Just, okay. So we were awarded silver recertification this November. So we have 3 years before we have to think about that again. We will be going for gold next time. So it's just something to be thinking about. And one of the things that we have to really keep in mind are applying these equity toolkits. And it's something that we're always scrambling to do at the last minute. So if there are, Sustainable CT, if it's a great thing just to kind of look at. It's not necessarily light reading, but it's also not a heavy lift. And if there are things that we're doing as a town that kind of meets those goals, and we can start thinking about applying that equity toolkit, and that involves like communicating to people who are less getting people involved who are less likely to show up to these things, making sure that you understand the demographics of your community so that you are intentionally reaching out to certain groups. But I don't think that there's really anything right now that this committee needs to do. But starting in a year or two, we'll be hitting you up.
Thank you, Jennifer. Yeah, I asked for it to be added because Ryan Aylesworth's email about it and asking committees to start thinking about it again.
Yeah.
So if anyone has a chance go ahead, Diane.
Well, it makes me think about when we invite people to the Farmers Forum. Maybe this is not quite right, but would it be worthwhile to invite people who are like members of the community garden space? Because like in a more urban area, like often community garden spaces are like little like tiny farm incubators,
Great point.
and we don't think of that here
Terrific
because we're
idea.
like, oh, we have
Yep.
tons of space,
Mhm.
but that's not always true. And it just might be a way to get a broader spectrum of people.
That's awesome. That's great.
Jennifer, the other way we can look at this too is Mia Matoma was organizing those racial discussions, and we had some on agriculture, and Jiff was there, I remember. And I don't know when Glenn got the job in California, if Mia, but there's got to be somebody some of the people who are at that, maybe we could those invite lists again and invite some of them to the Farmer Forum too, because those were some candid and good discussions that we never quite finished. And they got new jobs, they moved, I get it, but because those were happening right. I remember it was at least one in June last year, because it was right before our ag committee meeting, and they were both on Zoom, and I had to log out of that and log into this one.
We can check in with Jeff, who may be, or unless anyone else knows about it.
There's a group at EO. I'm blanking on the woman's name. I feel like she's maybe a Spanish teacher.
Oh, Amy Nocton?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
And so maybe she's a person that's connected to all of that. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Yeah. Because I forget the name of the group, the EO kids, but they have a lot of interesting speakers.
Terry Wallen told me about that last Friday when I met up with them too, because they went to the last one.
Nice, yeah.
Oh.
All right, anything else on Sustainable CT?
Yeah, actually, on the garden plots, isn't that something that Michael or Jen, you guys do?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay. Thanks.
All right, Taste of Mansfield update. I have a charge from Cynthia, unless Jennifer, do you want to talk about it or?
No, I think probably your charge is what I was going to talk about, the Champion Award.
Yeah, so the Taste of Mansfield is seeking Champion Award nominees again this year. I'm looking at a Champion Award winner from last year. Diane Dorfer was one of the inaugural Taste of Mansfield Champion Award winners. So we've got two requests. A, now, or well, 3. You can nominate someone, you can send the nomination form to someone that you think should be nominated. And then our third request is that we need someone from the committee to volunteer an hour to review nominations and work with the Taste of Mansfield committee to choose this year's award recipients. So it's basically looking for an hour of time to review the nominations received. There's a couple in so far. There's some good ones coming in too. And then the committee will just convene once. So if somebody's interested in doing that, we would take a volunteer. Kind of a fun thing.
What's the deadline for getting nominations in? It's probably soon. When is it?
I think it's the 24th. I should know that, sorry.
Okay,
Look at
that's
that.
okay.
Did everyone receive the email that's been going around? Do you need the nomination form again, or?
No, I just have to do it.
Would anyone like to review applications? It's, the review committee includes, unless they all designate somebody else, Cynthia Van Zelm, Dorothy DeValley, Mariah Popolesky, I forget the second last name, Jiff Martin. I'm leaving somebody off that group. But it's just someone different. Somebody from EDC will probably do it. Maybe Steve Ringo, because he's chair. I know the EDC has designated a person to do it, but I don't know who.
I could do it if no one else. I mean, if someone is like dying to do it, I'm not gonna stop you. But if no one else, I could do it.
Is it March 24th or April 24th that you said?
March.
Yeah, the deadline for nominations is March 24th, so shortly thereafter, they would probably be convening the review committee.
Yeah, I've got way too much going on like in the next couple of weeks.
Well, Diane, as a past recipient, I think you would be
Great.
equally qualified to review
Okay.
these. All right,
Yeah, I
I'll-
can do that.
all right, thank you. Anything else on Taste of Mansfield? So reports from members. I have one. Does anyone else have any?
I do.
Okay, go ahead. Oh, yeah, and you were going to talk about your farm and all the good things going on there too.
Well, the thing I thought I wanted to tell you guys about is just to be sure everyone knows about the Know Your Farmer Fair in Wyndham on April 1st from 11 to 2, and it's going to be at the new community center in Willimantic. And it's a really nice event. It is, I guess at this point, it's like co-sponsored by the Wyndham Community Food Network and what? Grown Connected? I lose track of all these things. Does that sound right, Jen?
Yeah, or maybe Grow Wyndham. I don't know. Maybe it's probably Grown Connected. It's Jiff.
It's definitely Grown Connected because Becca's been doing stuff.
Yeah.
And then it's like Becca and Sydney,
Oh, then
Two
Grow
different
Wyndham and Grown Connected, I think. Yeah.
right? Yeah. Yeah, it's a really nice event. I think that there were about 30 farmers at it last year, and it was really well received. There were a lot of community members. It was nice.
Like Joe Courtney was there last year, right? And in agriculture.
Yeah, good. And then my farm stuff, I'm not sure. I'll give the report and we'll see if I'm saying everything you think I should be saying. Let's see. Oh, I got a grant. Well, I've gotten a couple of grants recently, so that's exciting. Through the Connecticut Department of Ag, I got a Connecticut Grown for Connecticut Kids micro grant, which I use to buy equipment for being able to grow and wash root vegetables more efficiently. So I got a flame weeder and a root washer. So that is great. I also recently was awarded a grant through Northeast SARE, which is Sustainable Agriculture Research and Education. And that is for, I'm calling it the Ask Aunt Nellie project. The idea is that I will build a like farmer crowdsourced knowledge like resource base. So pretty much it's going to be like a bunch of Google Sheets in which people can like kind of like enter in fields like I'm looking for a potato plow, you know, just put potato plow under the implement section. And then other farmers can like put in, oh, you can get that at Everything Attachments in North Carolina, whatever. There's going to be like all these possibilities. So once that actually gets going, I'll send you guys the link so you can see what that looks like. But that should be pretty good. And I don't know. Are there other things?
Your greenhouse.
Oh yeah, that's another grant, which is also good. That's through Connecticut Department of Ag. Again, that's a transition grant. And yeah, building a heated propagation greenhouse. It's like it's a slog, man. I'm not a carpenter, but we're getting there.
That's great.
Yeah. Oh, but then I do think if anyone wants to know, I don't want to go on, but if anyone wants to know more about what Click is doing, I could like make connections for you or whatever, because it's pretty good. And it's, I don't know, it's like tiny right now, but there's a lot of potential. So that's good stuff.
It's a very cool group that it's good to celebrate. I mean, it's just so, it's really been built from the ground up. It's just really this community-based organization that is kind of rare to see.
Yeah.
Does everyone know what Click is, or would you like Diane to expand? Okay, Diane, why don't you just give a little bit of background information on Click, and even if it's the 10,000-foot overview of what they're doing and some of their initiatives, just so, and then people can follow up with you for more information too.
Yeah. So CLIC stands for community
License.
commercially licensed community kitchen, and it's in Wyndham. And it up until it was kind of, it's a nonprofit. It was created with multiple functions in mind. Up until more recently, it's mostly been like a shared commercial kitchen and a business incubator. So for like food companies. So there's like a hot sauce guy. He makes all of his hot sauce there. He sells them at local farmers markets and stores, not in Mansfield stores, but in businesses. And like, that's it. Like, that's his model. And then there are some other people who've started catering businesses there. And from that, they've been able to start storefronts, little restaurants and stuff like that. So it's really great. But also, the idea is that it's a resource for farmers to be able to go in and turn their own vegetables or products into a value-added good. Like there's Bottle Farm in Eastford. They are animals, so they bring in all their bones and make bone stock and then sell that, I think, at the co-op and at farmers markets. And there's other people who make salsa, jams, and jellies from stuff they grow. Click recently got 2 big grants. One is actually like a gift. It's like, and the other is a grant, so that they can get into processing more, with the idea that they'd be able to bring in larger amounts of produce from local farms and be able to do light processing so that they could then sell it to institutions like hospitals, schools, stuff like that. So that's what they're working toward right now. Yeah. So it's pretty great.
Very that's a fantastic thing. Thank you for explaining that.
Anyone else questions for Diane or more information on any of that? All right, so anybody else have a report from members? Okay, I guess mine's technically a communication. The Coventry Farmers Market is celebrating their 20th anniversary in June, and Mayor Moran received a request from them to participate or help celebrate in some way. So we've asked her to find more information about how they would like us to participate and what options are available. So just to kind of getting it on everybody's radar. In the past, you know, we've what is it, the Celebrate Mansfield, I'm always away that weekend, but you know, we've tabled that with just like the display, and you know, so it might be as simple as sending a couple members, committee members, to the market that Sunday, because Coventry's always a Sunday, at Hale Homestead, and promoting Mansfield agriculture there. You know, take some of the Mansfield grown brochures or something. We have to find out more about what Coventry Farmers Market had in mind. It is a big deal. I mean, you know, they've been on national best farmer market lists and everything. So and especially with the regional efforts, can support them in some way, shape, or form when we find out what kind of support they had in mind. Jennifer, do you have anything to add to that, or?
Sorry, did Tony, did you reply to Tony, or do you need us to reply to Tony to get more information? Because it was
I only replied to you, but I've had so many emails with Tony and Ryan lately that I will just reply to her on a new thread and start another conversation with her if you want.
great. And if you want to CC Michael, that would
Okay.
just to kind of keep us in the loop if we need to, you know, do anything as staff.
Okay. Anybody else have any other communications?
I have one question that I should have asked earlier. What do you all need from staff for the bee event on the 28th? It's going to be at the Buchanan Center, is that correct?
Yeah, you know, the only thing we didn't really talk about was we did refreshments for the farmer forum last year. I think having food is always good. I figured I could just bring chocolate milk again to both events. But do we have budget at all to get refreshments for one or both events? Is that something, or?
Oh, you guys, for the bees, does he do honey sticks? Like if we could buy honey sticks from him that we could give out, that would be nice.
Yeah, what do we have left for budget? Anything?
Yeah, we could do some honey sticks. And I mean, last year I just got cookies. Does that sound okay for the I'm happy to get cookies again for the farmers forum. Would that work?
Yeah.
Okay.
We get some bottled water or is there a water bubbler in there in case
We
people
can definitely, so we'll take care of you. They're getting like a jug of water or bottled water. Yeah. So we'll do cookies and water. Does that sound okay? I've done coffee in the past, but no one seems to drink it. So
Alex?
So I actually had a weird question about that. So in attempting to get some of the farms out, one group did offer to kind of cater the event. I don't know if that's something that's allowed by the town. And if there was any weird conflict issue, anything like that, but I said I would find out. But
are they
there's
going to charge us, or I mean,
No.
as long no, and so I guess we could put that on the list. I don't think we'd have, as long as we're not selling the food. So what would they provide us with, Alex? Are they like just like
It's full spread, so it's Beam House in Glastonbury, actually.
oh, I've never heard of it, but
Yeah, it's a good spot.
okay.
But I work with them and I do some growing for them, and so it was kind of like they have no chance of coming out because they're busy as all get out, but they were willing to offer that as an option.
For free?
Yeah, just it's kind of like a favor to me a little bit, but I was
Oh,
like,
Wow, that's nice.
yeah. So, you know, I was like, I don't know if that's acceptable or not. So,
I think so. I mean, I think as long as we're not selling it, I don't think we have to have like a permit or anything, but we can check on that.
yeah, and the biggest thing would be is just verifying head count to make sure that it's, you know, no one goes deprived. You know,
Sure.
for that.
And are we, so then it becomes, we should have an offline conversation about that. So, but you know, like what are we doing for utensils and plates and all of that stuff? So we just need to figure that out. And you know, are we serving a full meal, or is it just like a plate and people get a couple things, or all of that?
Yeah, I owe you and Michael an email as well, so I can mention that and we can maybe just have a more of a discussion there about it.
Great.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Anything else on communications? For future meetings, we've got, actually, there's 2 items. We want to talk about in-person meetings, and then it's also an RFP year for the farmland leases. So we're going to need to talk about that. I think they're usually due like September. I feel like we've reviewed those in the fall in the past. Because we have to wait till they finish the crops.
Yeah, I think we
Figure that out.
a little bit later, but yeah, like September, October is when we would send out the RFP and maybe have them due in October, late October, something like that.
So that will be coming up later this year, and we will have more information before it shows up on an agenda. But we'll need to look at that RFP, make edits, and then get that out to people. And then in-person meetings. So we are currently on an every other month meeting schedule. Obviously, we're still virtual, but we're hosting these in-person events. Are there thoughts on meeting in person again? Alternate.
Justin, we are not, if we offer in person, we have to offer a hybrid option if it's a meeting, just so you know. So my preference is not, I mean, I think if the majority of the committee wants to come in and meet together, then we will definitely do that. But if it's going to be like, if only one person is going to show up, it's kind of a pain for staff. It's an extra level of work for staff. So it's up, but certainly we will do everything we can to accommodate folks, but.
Thoughts?
I mean,
And
for
Jennifer, you
me,
did- oh,
sorry, good. No, for me, it's just, I was gonna say, if the hybrid option's available, I'd probably just take that, because for me, after work, just commute wise, I think it'd be tough for me to get out towards that direction in a timely fashion with some other things. So, I'd be a little more partial to staying virtual, to be frank.
Other thoughts?
It doesn't matter to me either way, like we can meet in person or do it virtual, so.
Yeah, I think it works pretty well to do a hybrid.
You mean virtual or hybrid?
I mean hybrid. Where you can, I guess you can only do that in the council chambers, though, huh?
Yeah, no. So I mean, either I guess what I would like, if the majority of you are going to just do it remote, then we'll just keep the meeting remote. If the majority of you want to do it in person, then we'll do hybrid, because we cannot just do in person per state statute. We have to either do it full virtual or hybrid. It is an extra, it's just one extra thing for staff to do if we are doing it hybrid. So I guess if folks want to stay virtual, then we'll just keep it as it is. Otherwise, we will go to more of an in-person format with the, and then if you are sick or whatever, you could come in hybrid. It come in through Zoom. But it's like we have to set up all the technology is the bottom line in the conference room.
So the conference rooms are not set up for it?
They're set up for it. It's just one extra thing. So if staff can, the bottom line is that it takes less staff time to do pure virtual. So, but if you all want to come in because this is something that's important to you, that's fine. We'll do that. But if it's going to be the majority of the committee just wants to Zoom in, then I think my preference would be to keep it just virtual for everyone.
It certainly is a ton easier to do virtual, but I also think we lose something and in doing it perpetually virtually. And maybe the answer, for example, really did lose Ed Hall. There are some members who represent different aspects of the community that don't want to do it at all, not comfortable, don't have the technology. But regardless of that, could we do it where we do meet in person every 6 months, say? Which would be, every 3 meetings?
We could do it like every other, you meet 6 times a year.
Yeah.
So every other meeting could be in person with a virtual option. Does that make sense?
I think I'd go for 2 meetings virtual, 1 meeting in person, or 1 meeting hybrid. And then 2 meetings and then hybrid.
Okay, so twice a year
Yes,
meeting. Okay.
every 6 months is what I'm thinking. Is that not what that is? If you had right now,
We'll
you
come up
do
with
it?
a schedule and we'll.
Yeah.
Okay. I have another question about the meeting schedule is that are folks available to meet on a Thursday? Or are you available to meet at like 5 p.m.?
on a Thursday, no.
Yeah,
No.
5 p.m. for me is a little.
Okay. Okay, so you want to do twice a year in person, and do you have a preference as to, is it like winter, like one in the winter? Should we just choose something? How would you like us to proceed?
So that there's less confusion, maybe. What is this, the 3rd month? So let's make it the 3rd month and the 9th month of the year.
Okay,
Assuming but then if we meet every other month, what is that? Yeah, that would mean we're meeting in March, January, then March, May, yeah. June. August.
so August and March.
Well, August would be the 8th month, so August, September, October, which is I'd have to write it down, but basically, I'd say opposite ends of the year. I mean, and on the
We'll look at the calendar.
sort of bracketing the farm season.
All right. Well, if Chris is going all nuts here, I'm going to throw in, could we put one of the in-person ones in the actual winter? Because I'm not going to
Sure.
make it to anything in person during the growing
Well, we'll
season.
meet at your farm. We'll go down there and meet Nellie herself.
Yeah, you guys can like pick rocks while we talk.
Yeah, we can do that.
I was already gonna throw out that I won't be available for the August meeting because I never am. It's the same week every year, so you can meet in person, Chris, and you can pick Diane's rocks and I'll see.
Golly, I guess I'll leave right now.
So wait, you're not meeting in August. You're meeting in, the next time you meet is May, and then July, and then September. So when would you like to have the next
How about
meeting?
the November meeting, because that may be when the RFPs are in and the committee needs to review applications for the ag leases, and it may be easier to do that in person, especially if any of us need to recuse ourselves, because we can walk down the hall, or it's easier to recuse yourself if you're there in person. I guess you could leave a meeting and rejoin later too, or we could put it at the end of the agenda, but whatever.
All right, since farmers are very busy, I would say November and March, because May, July, and September are all kind of
Great.
busy.
All good.
We're doing November and March. Does that sound
What
okay?
about, I mean, I like your idea, Stacy, of there's kind of like a purpose for meeting in person. And if we think we're going to keep doing the farmers forum, does it make sense then to also meet in person in January? Because that's when we should be planning the farmers forum, right? If we want the farmers forum to generally happen in March. Does that all make sense?
I like that.
I mean, we could survive like 2 meetings in a row having to actually see each other.
No, I think it's like a really efficient just bracket of the year. You knock out a lot of the things. that-
Yeah, it's a good
Yeah.
idea.
And there'll probably be longer meetings, but again, for me, unfortunately, I signed up to do the forum and I'm probably one of the more ignorant parties to the town. So that probably would have been helpful to do. So yeah, I actually personally like that. And it's kind of like, and we're done for the year. So, that works.
So November and January in person and the
Yeah.
rest are virtual.
Until you decide to do something differently.
Right, yeah. And sticking with Tuesday nights at 7. Yes.
Jennifer, can you clarify like what level of committee has to be recording their meetings and doing all that stuff?
So if you're virtual, you always have to record your meeting.
But what level of committee? I mean,
Everyone, if you're any virtual town committee that convenes, has to record per the Public Act, but that's a state law. And then every other committee, like for the town has just made a choice to live stream Board of Ed, Planning and Zoning, and Town Council. You are not live streamed, but you are on the YouTube channel a week out. So, and then a hybrid meeting.
I wondered why the fan mail was sort of slow to come. That makes sense.
Yeah, you don't need the hair and makeup for this committee. Well, you kind of do actually, because you're on YouTube, but after a week's over, maybe they're not paying attention. I don't know, we're a rerun.
Any other questions on the meeting schedule? All right, anybody else have anything they want on the agenda for future agendas? Somebody want to make a motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
I always have somebody to make that one. Is there a second?
I can second that.
Great, thank you. Is there any more discussion? All those in favor, aye. Any opposed, nay? Motion passes, meeting adjourned.
Thank you, Stacy.
Thank you. all.
6:31 p.m.
Have a
And
good night.
Michael's going to be your person in the future. So I'm sure, but I'm sure I'll be popping in from time to time.
Very excited to work with you all. See you all today, if not
Yeah.
sooner.
Nice
right.
to meet you, Michael.
Take care, Michael. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Nice to meet you.
Here.
Have a good week.
Thanks, Ray.
Have a nice week.
Yeah, thanks for being here, Ray.
Fun.
Good.
All right, good night, you all.
Night.